Hey guys, Jesse here. I wanted to talk a little bit about some philosophies behind double bass playing and some observations that I've made about other guys that are in the process of developing their double bass chops, and some suggestions on how to go about doing so smoothly, productively, and most importantly, musically. I think when a lot of guys think about double bass playing, they tend to think aggressive automatically. They tend to think of cramming in as many notes as possible into as short a space as possible. And if you go back to when you first are developing your hand technique as a kid on a practice pad and using rudiments, it's really just taking those concepts and applying them to the feet. For instance, if I was to play a single paradiddle, I wouldn't play it like this, grinding the sticks into the head. It's just going to be a sloppy mess, right? You know, when you play a paradiddle, there's an attack and a release to your strokes. Any stroke that you place on a drum, theoretically, has an attack and a release. And I think this often gets lost on people when they're attempting to work on their foot chops. I think when people play with the feet, they tend to really tense up their ankles and their calves and try to cram in as many notes as possible, you know. And that's when you get that sloppy, buzzy kind of double bass playing. Excuse me. Or they get locked into just playing you know, a couple little cliche fills that they feel really comfortable doing, you know, whether it's, you know, like, you know, something like that, you know. And then if they're asked to do more with their feet than just two notes in a burst, you know, even if it's like, you know, they can't really do it. So what I like to do in my own teaching and in my own playing is to think about your bass drum pedals as having an attack and release point, just as you think about an attack and release with a stick. There's a give and a take to it, right? So if you think about your bass drum technique as an attack and a release, you're going to find that your legs and your ankles are automatically going to relax a lot more. So if I'm doing some 16th note kick stuff, right, something basic like that, something at a slow tempo, just do that, try it out, and instead of thinking about, oh, I got to cram a bazillion notes into this kick drum and make it sound sweet, think about instead, in order for there to be a succession of notes like that, there has to be space in between the notes. After each note, there has to be a space, a release, so the next note can be executed. It just is common sense, but I think it's lost on a lot of people when they hear blazing double bass, you know, stuff, flashy stuff. Virgil Donati, Thomas Lang, Marco Miniman, Gene Hoglan, all these guys, fantastic players. But I guarantee if you were to sit down and ask them their philosophy about playing the double kick, they would probably approach it much a similar way. Not that I'm comparing my abilities to theirs. I'm just saying it's more about the philosophy. It's kind of like a glass half full versus half empty mentality. It's about thinking positively about the space in between the notes rather than just tensing up and playing a million notes. Okay? So I would suggest just trying that. Just playing a double kick groove, just some straight 16th notes, stuff you're already comfortable with, and just playing it, but thinking instead of cramming out notes, think about just relaxing and letting there be a release after each note. You know, just, it can be anything, you know. Whatever, you know. And I would try to apply this technique to everything you do with the double kick. I mean, whether it's those, you know, those sextuplet crash things everybody does, you know. Just go back and forth and do that. But instead, again, of thinking about, tensing up, think about relaxing. Just do a succession of them and try to make them feel as comfortable and relaxed as possible.